and welcome to our first episode. In this series, we're going to look at driver profiles, track profiles, and you're going to meet your drivers up close and personal. But most of all, and the most important thing is, we're going to learn more about drifting, what it's all about, techniques, the skills, you know the drill. Up and coming in the program, we're going to talk to Mike Skelton, one of our Gauteng drivers, and also to Jim McFarlane, which is one of the main organizers of the SupaDrift series. We're going to look at some awesome highlights of Cape Town, and after that, we're going to talk to Jim about drifting, the skills, techniques involved in it, and maybe you can do it one day. I'm excited to have Mike, or should we call you Mikey Skelton, next to me here. You are one of our local Joburg drifters. Mike, please introduce yourself to our fans out there, and please explain to me how your year has been so far. What's happened, just in short?
So my name, Mikey Skelton, drift for Rockford Fosgate in a 370Z LS2 powered motor vehicle, drift car. And the season so far hasn't been the best season, I can tell you that much. Initially, we came into the season with high hopes. We thought we're going to just upgrade the power of the car, and we're going to put in a turbo onto the V8 engine. And Rian, my mechanic, did a wonderful job. However, I didn't calculate in the compression ratio. So we went into the first event super excited. This car was insanely strong until 12 laps later when the motor went bang. So we had a bit of a problem at SDO1. I managed to get in 2-3 laps. I really enjoyed the car, and that would be something I'd like to use as a future prospect, to get back to that point.
And how do you feel now going into the next race, which will be end of the month in May at Desi South Coast Raceway? So
I've been in many drift car accidents. I like to push the level a bit, and I like to push myself. So the bigger accidents, you're always going to be a little bit nervous the next time you climb into the car. The smaller bumper bashings, you're not so concerned about, because you know you're protected. The car is built in such a way now, and our rules are so specific to one's safety in the car while you're driving, that you feel enclosed and safe, and the prohibitive dangers around that obviously aren't as much with a slight bumper bashing. When it comes to a big proper crash and an incident, you obviously are a little bit nervous the next time you climb into your car.
Now for the next round, please look after yourself and your car, and we're really looking forward to see what you're going to do at our next event.
I'm so excited to just drift again.
Yes.
And I felt like I've missed some serious laps and seat time, and the series has got away from me a bit, so as a driver. So to reel it all back in, consolidate everything and get a season underway would be
great.
A great thing, yeah.
I agree 100%. So we're looking forward to seeing you on the track.
Yes, myself.
Thanks,
and,
Mike.
Thank you for having me.
Looking back at Cape Town, the Cape Town event was the end of April, and we started off with a very, very cold, chilly Cape Town. There was such a cold breeze, and we were actually expecting some rain. But we were very blessed. It warmed up. We had a lovely sunny day. It was an exciting, long drifting day. But let me not talk about it. Let me show you the highlights. We're doing a recap on our SDO2 events that happened now in the Western Cape at the Killarney Racetrack. And Mark, you're going to give us a bit of feedback on what do you think stood out? What did you notice? Some of the highlights.
So the highlights for me, and remember again, I was a commentator at the time, was the local drifters and their performance on the Killarney International Raceway. Now, a lot of these guys have performed in the local regional series, the SupaDrift Regional Series, Western Cape Series, which has really elevated and upskilled them to SupaDrift national basis. So they came there to a national event, all fired up, saying, what are we going to do, the usual track at the regional? So we decided we were going to upskill them a bit and challenge them a bit. And I challenged every driver that actually climbed into his car at the end of that, or her car. And we pulled the start line right back to turn 5 at Killarney International Raceway. I think it's turn 5. I stand to be corrected. However, these guys were coming in, and just where the kink is into the oval, they were initiating the average speed was 135 kilometers an hour. Jacques Lemmer did a speed of 150 k's an hour. So this really blew everyone away, and it's something that was really challenging. And if you got the first corner wrong, you messed the whole run up. If you got the first corner right, your run was great.
Definitely was a north versus south, but in the north we won. The north eventually took top 2 spots. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, the top spot, I don't know if we can call them north.
Yes,
the
but they called it
boys,
north.
but
Yes.
I think they were grouped in the cluster of north versus south.
Yes, that's true.
We gave the guys, the north guys, the kudos for winning the day and that type of thing. But I don't ever want that to upstage what was happening with the Western Cape and the South drivers. Those guys really, I saw progress.
They really
we
gave
saw
a
an
good
evolution.
Yes.
Their performances were brilliant. The crowd was super behind them, and they made it look good. The show was spectacular at the end of the day. So for me as a promoter and a commentator, from that point of view, I was really excited about prospects. And I think these guys are going to be future SupaDrift champions.
Definitely. We started off with approximately 40 drivers. I counted, unfortunately, due to some car problems here and there. Some of them fell out even before the qualifying rounds. But
Yes.
the amount of entries we had already was so good.
So there were 41 cars entered on the Friday morning, which is a practice day. Unfortunately, through the process of time,
You have people
in the
falling
practice,
out, but I mean the
that's what
amount we
happened.
just had was already spectacular.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
The outcome.
Yeah, the outcome was brilliant. Well, we would have loved to have run a top 32, but I think the difference between from 20 to 30, 34, 36, the number of guys actually competing, and the top 20 guys, there was a big difference.
Yes.
So the guys were so good in practice, and then when it comes to qualifying, I think the nerves and the butterflies and sitting on the line waiting for your turn, that got the better of a lot of drivers. And it was, in as much as I say it was good, that was the bad part of it, that more drivers should have qualified and got their 45 points, which is a minimum cutoff for qualifying, in which case we could have run a top 32, We only needed 30 drivers to go 45 points up, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Yes, well, there's always the good and the bad. It'll play itself out.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mark, for your
you.
feedback on Cape Town, our Killarney event. We'll see what happens at Port Shepstone.
Thanks, Marsha. I look forward to seeing you there, and thank you all, the fans.
Thanks. Next to me, I have one of the main organizers of the SupaDrift series. We're going to chat to Jim about what goes into organizing all of this, and let's see what he has to say. Jim, tell me, as I just mentioned now, what time and effort goes into planning, organizing all of these events? Because it does go across the year, correct?
Very good question. Yeah, a lot of people just think you slap it together. You got a venue, you arrive, do your thing, and so we have a bit of a red carpet, white glove treatment. We get there 2-3 days before an event. Setting up branding, making it look like it's well supported from a sponsor point of view, which it is. Put up the branding, putting up the marquees and the hospitality, getting the pits ready, putting up our own sound, which we transport to each venue to make sure that we get the right sound every single time. It's quite involved. It takes a lot of manpower. We have about 30 crew members that we take around to each event to do SupaDrift. So it's not just a plug and play. We make sure that we make SupaDrift, which it has become, one of the most entertaining events to go to.
What is drifting? Please explain to me and all of us out there.
Another good question. Well, drifting is a motorsport, but it's not a timed motorsport, so it's not a race. So it's not about who can get to the checkered line and the checkered flag first and be timed, are you the quickest? It's about how you drive your car, and you actually have to outperform the other driver. So yes, you go through a qualifying run,
Yes.
which you have to go, you have two runs to qualify, and then you've got to follow the right line on a racetrack, which the judges designate. They say they want you to the outside of the track or the inside of the track on this corner, and they want you to extend this corner, but they want you to shorten the other corner. So they want a specific line from you. Then they want to see you do that line with as much angle as you possibly can. That's drifting, going sideways. And then of course we want to see the style, because it's all about style. You've seen the different cars and the smoke and the angle, how you convert that into a style. And then of course there's speed. We want to see fast corners. We don't want you to crawl around the corner. We want to see you go fast.
That's not going to work.
No, blowing smoke and going mad. So that is how you qualify.
As,
and that,
as an individual?
as an
correct?
individual, you first qualify, and the judges, there's 3 of them, they qualify you on those aspects that they're looking for.
Yes.
And they explain to you before you do your runs. You go out there and you do your best, and you then get your qualification. We then do like a round robin, similar to Wimbledon. You have your number 1 seed up against your number 16, and then the winner goes to the next round. Now, the way that you designate that winner is by the 2 cars going up against each other. Same as Wimbledon, 2 different players, 2 different drivers. But each driver gets a chance to lead and then to follow.
Yes.
So there's 2 runs again, and on your lead run, as a driver, we want to see you follow that same line almost 100% perfect. If you make mistakes, the judges deduct from you. And as a chase car, they want to see proximity. They want to see you get as close as you can without making contact to the lead car, while following the same line, the same angle, and pretty much showing that you can outperform. Once you've chased them, you then have to lead. So you again have to try and get the best of both worlds in leading and chasing, and then the judges and the crowd decide who the winner is.
Yes.
And that's what's so amazing about drifting. It's a judge format, and the crowd has a huge involvement in choosing winners.
I'm loving this. Feels like an education program. I'm loving this so much.
Well, drifting, it's an education, because
Yes.
it's about going sideways. Many people think it's a race. It's not a race. It's how you outdrive and outperform the car that's not even 30 centimeters from you.
Very close.
At 140 k's an hour. It's cool.
Yes, it's a bit nerve-wracking also. I've seen it. Lastly, tell me, if I would like to go for a ride with you, how do I go about that? Let's say we are now at Desi Raceway. What is the procedure if I would like to go
We
for a ride
do
with you?
have a designated time frame for on a Friday. Obviously Saturday, that's our race day, that's our prep day, that's when we flat out making sure we're there to win.
So that there's no chance
There's
then
no
for
chance
any...
of rides on
Okay.
Saturday, but there is chance of rides on the Friday afternoon. A lot of the drivers like to get their VIPs and sponsors involved. We do a lot of charity drives, so we get a lot of the charities getting involved, putting kids and underprivileged people into the cars. We want to experience. That seat right next to us is very important. It's so nice when you see them screaming like little girls as well.
Oh, sorry. Lastly, Jim, do you give lessons?
We do. We actually have
okay.
part of our development in growing drifting is to actually make sure that we can continue to feed this amazing sport. So a lot of people say, hey, I can drive well. It's great that you can drive well, but can you counter steer and put the car sideways and counter steer in the opposite direction? So we do have drift courses. We actually teach them in 350Zs that are designated and have roll cages. They've got the right suspension, and we teach them for a nominal fee at one of our racetracks within the area.
Thank you so much, Jim.
No
We're
problem.
going to see you at Fort Shepstone.
Correct.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you so much for your time. And when am I going to get my lessons?
Yes, soon enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next SupaDrift event is going to take place on the 28th of May in Port Shepstone at Desi South Coast Raceway. I'm very excited at this, as this will be my first time. And the track has been around for a few years. There's some exciting corners coming, so expect a lot of smoke. Well, from me, Marsha, from the first episode, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time.